Welcome to our coverage of Rallye Açores. This is Craig Breen, the rally leader, just after coming out of stage 9, the one previous to our live stage this afternoon. They got to the end of the stage, came out of the finish control, and this is the road literally 25 feet beyond the end of the finish control on their way to stage 10. And the car has been attended to by a marshal, briefly put a fire extinguisher on under the car. So Craig Breen, the rally leader, is in trouble. So after the first 4 rounds of the European Rally Championships, SATA, twice a winner, is our points leader, and we are ready for our second live stay of the day from Rallye Açores. The heli is up, as you can see, the cloud is down. Well, earlier on today, Ricardo Moura, who is driving one of the R5 Ford Fiestas, clumped a rock pretty hard in stage 4. A damaged suspension put him out for the day. He intends to return tomorrow. Same for Kai Kaitanovic. Kaito clumping a stone there on the stage before this morning's live, and he too is out, and he will return tomorrow. Well, Craig Breen, after stage 7 this afternoon, ahead of Kevin Abring by 7.8 seconds, and that is Craig Breen still attending to his Peugeot after the end of stage 9. Now, he needs to get, first of all, to stage 10, and then Andrew Coley out of stage 10 and into service. Otherwise, he too is going to be out of the running here.
Well, you can see they've been on the phone. If you've been watching the live stream on the internet before we came here, you know, that's where he is, 6.5 seconds in the lead. He'll be desperate, Martin.
Yep. Well, 10 minutes late at service, and that will all be gone, and that's even assuming he gets through the next stage. He needs to start the stage at his allotted time as well, Andrew, otherwise he'll be racking up lateness penalties for that. So it is all going to accumulate. However, we've been watching those pictures for the last 5, 8, maybe 10 minutes, and the car has not moved. It does seem as though our rally leader is in all sorts of trouble. However, we still have cameras aboard the rest of the top 10, so we still have lots of footage to show you from this thrilling stage here in the Azores. Welcome back to the volcanic crater at the center of the Azores as we get ready for stage 10, our live stage this afternoon from Rallye Açores. Don't forget, this evening on Eurosport you can also catch up with today's action from the Junior European Rally Championship. We'll be bringing you the highlights of that, but first let's get onto the stage. Man who's 10th overnight before penalties, Giacomo Costanaro, is the first on the road. Now, this is the second time through the stage, Andrew Coley. Drivers have already been saying from the other stages in the loop that they've been cleared of a lot of the dust, but the damp conditions have brought a lot of stones and rocks out, so it's actually kind of some you win, some you lose. Well,
we've seen a puncture, in fact, on the previous stage, or maybe the stage prior to that, for Consani, who's not having a very good rally. And he said exactly that, yeah, clean, but we need to watch out for the rocks. He didn't spot one, he clouted it and got a puncture. So here's a look at the route of the stage around the outside of the volcano. If you missed this morning's stage, the shots from the helicopter are unbelievable. The drops at the side of the road here are terrifying. Luckily, in the car, you can't see them quite so easily.
Yeah, Lagoa Azul, blue lake in the middle. It's kind of green today, but everything looks a little bit discoloured today because it's quite grey, and it is, yeah, massive drops off the road, Andrew, and that, but we talked about this, didn't we, after the first stage today. You're kind of in a little funnel. You're in a tunnel of high banks and just focusing on the road in front, trying desperately to read it as you translate what your co-driver is saying.
Yeah, sure, they've got the notes for the road ahead. Really, it's irrelevant what's off the side of the road. They don't want to go off the side of the road, whatever's at the side of it. Yes, it would be very bad to go off here, but more than likely, these guys are all, you know, they're all semi-professional or professional drivers. They won't even note the fact that it's fresh air at the side of the road because it's just a distraction. You just get on with it. Here we are on board.
Yep. Fourth and fifth gear stuff, it's narrow, but it is quick this stage.
Costanaro did a good stage time on special stage 8. He was 7th, and that's his best time of the weekend. Prior to that, it was 10th, and this morning he was 18th all morning and 16th, and of course that's because he was first car on the road, so sweeping the gravel. He says he's improved a lot this afternoon, so I guess the confidence has come with a little bit of a cleaner road. Kansani somewhere down there in the trees. Broken drive shaft this morning. In fact, he reckoned 2 broken drive shafts in the end, one at the front and one at the back, so he absolutely hemorrhaged time. He was incredibly slow through the one stage. He was lying in 11th after stage 8, and he had that other puncture.
Gauche 8 bref, sur droite 9, 10 mètres, droite 6 à fond, sur gauche à fond élargi, fini frein, 10 mètres, droite gauche 6 bref, 10 mètres sur le coup, ciel droite à fond, entre tard, pour 10 mètres gauche à fond, 25 mètres, ciel 11, reste intérieur sur gauche 11, sur droite 11 millions, élargi, sur ciel droite 9, frein au vote, gauche 8, ciel droite 9, frein, gauche 8, sur droite à fond, sur gauche 10 au vote, sur droite 10 millions, en 2 fois reste intérieur, sur gauche 9. 10 mètres, droite 10, reste intérieur, sur gauche 10, à fond, 20 mètres, ciel droite 10 à l'arrière, entre tard, sur gauche à fond, 10 mètres, droite 10, bref, de suite, gauche à fond, sur droite 10, bref, 10 mètres, droite 11, long, over le 10, over le 10.
Something to remember here, of course, is he's had a puncture already, so most of the guys this morning were only carrying 1 spare. Earlier on in the season on Acropolis, which is renowned, of course, for being rough, we saw a lot of crews carrying 2 spares, but Kansani is highly likely to only have 1 spare on board. He's got a couple of stages to go, well, at least 1 more stage, sorry, to go after this to get back to service. So this morning we saw Bruno Magalesh have to do a whole stage on 3 wheels after he had a puncture on the first run of this Sete Cidades. And Kansani's already had a puncture on the previous, so he's got 2 stages to go. Even Breen had a puncture on this stage, luckily only with a couple of kilometres left, but then you can't push because you can't risk a puncture.
Then it's double jeopardy, isn't it? With Vasily Gryazin again saying how rocky stage 5 was before stage 6, and it's got worse at stage 9 before this stage 10 this afternoon. It's interesting, isn't it, that from some views the weather looks really like it's closing in, and yet here it's still a bright sunny afternoon.
It just changes so fast, doesn't it? I mean, we saw that the graphic at the start of the show said a 68% chance of rain. If you look at this, you'd never say there's a 68% chance, but it comes in so fast. Look in the distance, grey clouds, mist. I mean, just as we say.
What we're looking at here is the 40% chance of dry. Over there is the that's the 68%.
Wonderful onboard through there, though. You could see the commitment as well. Gryazin was on it this morning. This is the older Fiesta, the S2000, 2-litre normally aspirated engine. Sounds wonderful. There we are, another little crest, look, 2 in a row. And you get a glimpse there as well of the fantastic suspension travel on these cars. The roads are pretty smooth, to be fair. They're not badly rutted up, although the stages here are often described as soft. It's more about the loose rocks than it is about a horrendous road condition. Certainly at this point on the stage, it's quite a long one. I think about 22 kilometres, 24 kilometres.
24 Ks. And I mean, all sorts of variety. We've got some 4th, 5th gear stuff. We've got 2nd and 3rd gear stuff. Lots of blind brows, lots of crests that you've just got to get absolutely right. So, and bearing in mind when the drivers are making the pace notes, especially for those, as a lot of them are coming here for the first time, when you come through the stage, Andrew, like any other stage, you are limited to 30 kilometres an hour. And you go in essentially what is a sort of slightly beefed up road car, a recce car, or sometimes just a road car. Driver drives through once, makes the notes, drives through a second time at the same speed with the co-driver reading the notes. And then you've got to translate it into not 30 kilometres an hour, but, you know, up to 130 on the quick stuff. Now, that's a really difficult skill.
It is, and it takes a long, long time to learn it. And, you know, you see the difference between the top guys who've been making their own notes for donkey's years, and that's one of the things these drivers have got to get into championships where they're making their own notes, not organisers' notes, which is where the organiser sends a nominal driver through with an expert co-driver, and they make what we would call in the UK safety notes. And it's kind of a description of the road, but you know, these guys will be writing notes specifically in some cases for the car they're in, and they would maybe adjust those notes if they were in a different car. So they might have been here in an R2 before, and they'll need to make it different for an S2000 car. It can take more of a hammering. It will be carrying more speed. You know, you come out of a hairpin in an R2 car, you'll only be up 3 gears. Look how quickly Magalesh can take the gears in this, and you'll see that he's going to carry a hell of a lot more speed. So making notes is a real black art, and yeah, it's something that needs to be done perfectly when the road to this narrow.
And we talk about local knowledge being good for drivers. Now, some of that is that they've done the stage several times before, and when the weather changes or conditions change dramatically, that often really will play a part, because they'll go, right, this is like 92, remember when it rained really heavily, what we did then, what can we do that's similar? But actually, a lot of it is massaging your pace notes year on year and just getting better with translating them onto the road.
Yeah, coming back with a set of notes from before. So you've had your 2 passes year one, you do the event, you come back again, you'll have made a few changes during the event, and you've got that set of notes to start from. So local knowledge, best example of that ever, of course, was Delacour on the Monty a few years ago, live on Eurosport, when he lived in the area, knew the weather. He said, I'm taking the snow tires because it's snowing. A classic quote, my favourite. That's all about local knowledge. Magalesh, in theory, should have some great knowledge of here. He was the winner in 2008 and in 2010. One in a Group N car and one in an S2000 car. But this 207 S2000 is old. It's chassis number 3, and they sold 100 of them.
Right. So that's good. That's good production numbers. So, that's what having the same technical regs for a decade did. It allowed second-hand cars to continue being competitive, continue being valuable. White flags being waved there. Maybe they were organisers' flags. So I think that was the colours of SATA, the airline here. And yeah, it allows the field to expand and the cars to move out into, less experienced and less well-funded teams, and to bring in more entries into rallies like this.
We've had a lean couple of years really, going from IRC to ERC as well, where there has been now a little bit of instability. IRC thrived on the S2000 rules. We had 4 manufacturers. Now we've got, regional rally car and then R5, so no one was quite sure what to do. But now that R5's coming along, and we've got 4 manufacturers again who are very serious about it, and it's much cheaper. Again, you're going to see national importers, like when Peugeot UK supported Chris Meek's program and then Guy Wilkes' program. I think it was Peugeot Portugal who supported Magalesh. It's affordable, but it's within the budget of a national importer. They go, I'll tell you what, we'll go and do that. And I think that we're going to see a resurgence now in ERC, particularly with R5. It's going to be fantastic.
Let's ride with Bruno Magalesh a little bit. Watch busy hands on this stage, no matter how smooth it looks.
Direita 4 longa por dentro a travar, 20. Atenção, esquerda 2 mais boa cedo. E vamos para a terra, 30. Direita 6 curta fica, para a esquerda 5 a fundo curta. Para a direitilha 100.
There's consistency for you. If you watch this morning, Magalesh pulled the handbrake almost exactly the same spot this morning as he did this afternoon, just to get the car turned in. That's one of the tarmac sections in the middle of the stage.
And one of the few corners you can actually see into and see through as well, so you can really judge that. It's one of the great unsung skills of being a rally driver, especially on blind rallies and British, road rallying, is the use of the handbrake.
Oh, Magalesh there, just slightly wide. Sorry, Martin. You can see the reds disappeared. He just pitched in a tiny bit too fast. You saw the car go light. He was lucky.
It's that little wiggly section that we're in now that caused some of the problems this morning, isn't it? This is where the drivers were ripping corners off on the rocks.
The other thing Magalesh has had a problem with is these warning lights on the dash. So again, on the live stage this morning, he had warning lights on, which he said were a distraction. And then on special stage 8, he said a good time, but again, I've got the engine warning light on for temperatures. So this is a long stage. There was a little orange light on the dash just a few moments ago when we were on board, but it did disappear. So
Craig Breen said the same thing, didn't he? He had that distracted him a little bit going into a corner. He said a big light came on and he went off. This is birthday boy Benny Souza.
atenção, direita 4, a travar para a esquerda 3, menos longa. Vai a travar para a esquerda 3, menos longa.
Bernardo Souza on board at the moment, and you can see he's just 1 second down on Gryazin, who's the man who's flying, but it was Souza who took the stage win here this morning, special stage 6. It's the only stage he's won. In fact, he's only gone as fast as third apart from that, and that, of course, is because Kevin Abbring and Craig Breen have pretty much dominated those first and second slots in the 2A R5, but Breen, we think, is possibly not going to be continuing.
Seems unlikely that we're going to see Craig in the stage. Haven't seen any pictures back from the end of the previous stage, but it looks as though he had a brief under-bonnet fire. And it doesn't need much to destroy your wiring. You don't need to destroy many wires. You only really need to burn one random wire and the engine won't run, and that's the end of that, and the car didn't move. Souza said this morning, he said, last year I came through this kamikaze. This morning he said I took it a little bit more carefully, but we're going to try and go for the win. He said, I'm going to see what the others do because they're quicker than us. Not on this, they're not. This is him in maximum attack mode.
This morning, Martin, he said these kind of stages don't suit me. I mean, he obviously hadn't counted on the fact that behind him, I guess he was expecting Breen and Abbring to come through and smash him. And in fact, the 208s looked really loose on this stage this morning. Oh, and Souza, as we say that, runs wide, clamps the bank.
Clumps the bank a little, doesn't look to be too much damage.
It's if he's knocked the tyre off the rim, isn't it? But
car's going
fantastic.
Straight.
On board the helicopter and seeing a big moment.
5 minutes in, he needs to stop if he's got a puncture, but he doesn't look like a driver who's driving with a puncture. Mind you, on that onboard with Harry Vatanen and Terry Harriman, he doesn't look like a driver who's driving with a puncture on the Max either. However, that's by the by. Confirmation from our colleague Peter Baird on site that Craig Breen has been forced to retire from leg 1 with an electrical fire. And, you know, that is part of development, isn't it? You know, it happened in the Acropolis. It wasn't his car that went AWOL. He's completed the event, but it is a new car for Peugeot, and new cars have teething problems.
Gutting though, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
no,
and you could see as well. It was interesting watching the body language of the two, Craig Breen and Scott Martin, and Craig dropped to his knees at one point, and you could see the desperation. And Scott Martin was there with a hand on his shoulder saying, Craig, you know, whatever they were saying, I suspect it's get on the phone, let's see if we can fix this, doing their very best. Back on board with Magalesh.
Lock stops to lock stops. This is a real battle between the two local heroes, isn't it? I mean, this is proper, candid, foot to the floor, no questions asked.
It won't be lost on them either, Martin, that, you know, 128's had a problem. They've actually had problems on most of the rallies this season, as you say, because it's developing to be a great car in the end. I'm sure Peugeot Sport always make a great car, but just the slightest sniff of, hang on just a second, we've got a day and a half to go, well, a day now, you know, there's a chance here.
Well, I think now that, realistically, Souza and Magalesh see it as between the two of them. Moura's out. Abbring, okay, Abbring is likely to be our leader. Kajtanovic is out. Breen is out. Gryazin is going quickly, but has he got the experience on this event to be able to beat them in a knockdown, drag-out fight? I think the two of them can already sniff blood in the water. We've still got the whole of tomorrow to do, and he's still got another 12 Ks of this.
And Abbring as well, you see, he's got the job now of, no, he's going to be listening. It's bad enough anyway when you're sitting in a car, certainly with a decent lead, which is what he's going to end up with now, quite a healthy lead. What's it going to be?
Well, it was
40 seconds.
He was, yeah, 39 seconds ahead of Souza, 3 minutes ahead of Magalesh, so Magalesh probably out of it, but yeah, 40 seconds on this, on a 28K stage where you're now the only car remaining.
It's not enough for a puncture. It's not enough to completely back off, and it's horrible to back off anyway. We've said it so many times, these cars don't work. You have to lean on them to make them work. They're very stiff. If you're not leaning on it, it just feels horrible. So he's going to have to push, but he's not in a fight. It's actually a really hard thing for a driver to do. He would far rather be fighting with Craig Breen right to the finish, because then it's flat out. No thinking, just go for it.
The other thing is now he's the only Peugeot. He did retire from the Acropolis when they had a chance of a 1-2.
Yeah.
You know, they still need miles, they still need development work.
And manufacturer points.
And he's not chasing either. He's trying to lead, but lead by the least possible margin. You can't do that with two locals who are absolutely out for blood. And Gryazin's probably not to be taken out of the equation either.
Not looking at the early split times, certainly.
Yeah. I think the second time through, they've all got the bit between their teeth. What a stunning view.
Yeah, this is
what a stunning view. There's definitely a Bond lair down, a villain's lair down the bottom there somewhere.
In the lake.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The lake peels back in half an hour and a rocket launches.
60. Левее, сразу правый 4 плюс. Чуть правее, длинный закрытый. На левый 4 минус длинный. На правый 6 длинный 5 плюс резко. На левый 6. На правый 6 резко внутри 70. Левый 4 закрытый. На правый 4 длинный. 60. Левый 6 плюс закрытый длинный внутри. 60 в правом. Правый 3 резко. 30. Левый 3 закрытый. 5 плюс. На левее. 30. Левее 20. Правый 4 минус. Ровно длинный. На левый 4 минус. 70 к левым. Правый 6 закрытый. 30. Правый 6 на левый 5. 40 ровно. 30. Правый 5 плюс резко. 80. Левый 7 плюс резко. 20. Левый 3 ровно закрытый.
Vasily Grey's in. Background is Group N, R2 cars, S2000 cars in the ERC, Latvia and Russia, but mostly in Latvia and Russia in the past. This year he's done a bit of ERC, second in Latvia, so he's quick.
And that's a great thing about the European Rally Championship, as it always was, for bringing on younger drivers and bringing them to the top level. Giacomo Costanaro in the inset picture, the Italian close to the end of the stage. He's in the last couple of kilometres. Peugeot 207. And that is the final hairpin, isn't it, before the flying finish. So he comes through there and he'll come down to our interviewer. June reporter in a minute, hear from Giacomo at least. Wondering what they're doing. They're putting a little chock under the rear wheel so it doesn't roll off down the hill while he's in neutral.
End of the second pass through here. What was it? Much better now. A cleaner line.
Pretty good, but I'm very pissed off because the first 2 kilometers I found people walking on the stage and was flat out and missed so much like this. I didn't hit that. And I lost concentration on the stage and I kept a pace, but I'm not sure about the time. I'm very angry with that.
Well, Andrew, that is everybody's worst fear, that there is somebody or something in the stage, because you are absolutely committed here. You're not driving on what you see, you're driving on what you know is there. And this is a rally where every corner is blind. So Costanaro there really struggling to get his confidence and his composure back.
Past the end of the stage, you can smell the burning rubber of Robert's car, but that's not yours. That's good.
Yeah, but the smell after Robert is woo. Yeah, the stage is good, and now I was quite fast.
Enjoying that?
Yeah, I like it very much.
Grazin sweating mightily after 28 flat-out kilometres, and the Robert they were referring to, Robert Consani, the Italian, has just come in with another puncture on this stage. He picked up one on this stage first time through. He said tomorrow is going to be better, by which I think he meant tomorrow can only be better. Because Andrew Coley, that's pretty nightmare stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a great day, is it really? As we said, he broke a drive shaft on special stage 5, another one he reckoned on special stage 7, had a puncture on 8, now he's had a puncture on 10. He wasn't that panicked, and this morning Magalesh was clearly panicked as we see him come round the final hairpin, because he knew he only had 1 spare on board. So I guessed that Consani was only carrying 1 spare. I reckon maybe he'd got 2, because otherwise he'd have said, I've got another stage to go on it. So,
yeah. So he is...
sensible decision. He obviously knew he was having a cursed day, didn't he? When they asked him at service, do you want 1 or 2? He'd stick 4 in.
Don't fight it, yeah. Don't fight it.
I'll take a radiator belt.
So Bruno Magalesh was really on the attack in the inset shot, and our big shot of Kevin Abring. Let's see what Bruno has to say about the stage, second time through.
Bruno, this morning in here you had a problem, but the second time through, is it okay?
Sorry.
Is it okay the second time through?
Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, I have changed the tires for the second loop because I didn't expect so many loose gravel on the stage after passing 40 or 50 crews, and was not a good decision. But okay, much better than the time before.
That's Averring slowing down, yeah.
Yeah, that was the local hero, Bruno Magalhães, but this is...
It is.
Yeah. And that is first or second gear. Now, has he had a failure related to the one with Craig Breen?
Yep, you're in road.
They put the engine into road modes. There's two modes for the engine, which would be to do with things like anti-lag on the turbo, the map of the engine, how it performs. And he's just said he's in stage or road mode, and he said it's in road mode.
The engine has put itself in road mode. That's the equivalent of your get you home and the light flashing, take me directly to a dealer mode on your road car. And as you can see, he's doing recce speeds. He's doing 30 kilometers an hour flat out. As Sousa comes to the line, it looks as though this is the cursed stage for Peugeot. One doesn't enter, and the other one may not complete it. And if he does, he's got one more stage to go before the end.
Interesting comments from Magalhães just before that there's still a lot of loose gravel out there as well, so he'd obviously changed tyre to something for a cleaner road, and it didn't happen. But the drama is Averring and Breen.
He is having a pedestrian cruise through the Stame Averring. Let's hear from our birthday boy, Bernardo Sousa.
30 metres, right for caution, slight left, keep in, and tightens a little. In short, right 10.
Bernardo watching the footage there, you had a bit of a moment in there on a left-hander.
Yeah, I forgot that you guys see it all live TV, so you could not make any mistake. We were a little bit lucky, but yeah, at the beginning it's like a roller coaster. It never ends, and you're always jumping and jumping and jumping, and it's so fast. And yeah, now that Greg is out of the fight, I was talking before with Kevin that now it's enough. It's time to stop the fight because well, it's still a long rally to go, and if we continue like this, one of us will go out for sure, or the car will have some damage or something broken. So now we need to be clever. I think that we did a pretty much good time. I don't know what is coming from behind, but yeah, I'm pretty much happy with the stage now.
Well, he's going to be a lot happier when he sees Kevin Avering's time, because at the moment he is going to be nowhere close. Halfway through, Averring was in front, not now.
Slow, slight right, in, slight left.
On board with Kevin Averring, was second after stage 9. We're on stage 10 of the Rallye Açores, right at the end of the stage, and his car is limping through in get me home mode. Andrew Coley, there's no question he's going to lose the lead to Sousa, who's already said we need to calm it down a bit and guarantee we get to the finish.
Maybe not, plus 23.3, and the gap between Averring and Sousa was about 39, so he's lost a lot of time. The key then will be the next stage, and if he has to go through it with the engine in road mode all the way through there. But the interview here is going to let us know how terminal this is. We know they've had overheating issues, but
that is so frustrating. It's like being Usain Bolt and finding out your shoes have been laced together at the starting blocks.
not sure he's mad keen on stopping for a chat, which might mean temperatures are the issue, but
Kevin, a lot of time lost there, and you stopped in the stage. What is wrong?
I have no power steering. Suddenly, the last 8K, I thought something broke in the differential, but no. I just never drove it without power steering, and if you make a small drift angle, you can forget it. So one more stage to go, but we don't lose a lot of time. I mean, we obviously it's 23 seconds, but I would have expected 1 minute. What can we do? The next stage is 7-8K. Just try to do it as fast as possible. Maybe go to the gym before and then.
I don't think you need to go to the gym now. 10Ks with no power steering is enough, I think.
Right, that's true, yeah. All right, so it's like this. And I'm feeling really bad for Greg. I don't know exactly what happened. But we were controlling the lead with the both cars, so and now things look different. But now, on towards the next stage and then service, and then tomorrow it needs to happen, I guess, huh?
Craig's problem was an electrical fire, electrical problem.
Okay, thank you.
It's not going to help Kevin much. He will have forearms like a motocrosser. He will definitely be at home to Captain Lactic Acid, won't he, for the next stage? It's only 8Ks, but it'll be tight and twisty 8Ks as well. And right behind him comes our next driver. This is Jean-Michel Rowe. Another S2000 Peugeot 207. So I wonder how many of the 300 they've ever made we've got here. Certainly a good 10%, I would reckon.
Jean-Michel, comment c'était?
C'était très très bien. On a enfin trouvé ce qui n'allait pas sur la voiture. Depuis hier, on avait eu beaucoup de mal.
Sorted out our problems with the car, I said. It was a pretty good stage. You had lots of problems yesterday, 3 stages yesterday, of course. A little bit better, and he's saying we can push a little more. So he seems to be smiling, and he's obviously enjoying the stage a lot more. 50 seconds behind Kevin Abring's time, so he's pretty happy with that. And as a privateer, Andrew Kohler, you would be pretty happy with that.
He hasn't realised yet, though, that Abring's got a problem with his steering, has he? I must admit, Abring, I thought, took it quite well, you know, making jokes about the gym and things and still being concerned for Craig. But, you know, we've got to look at the time differences here. It was roughly 39 seconds odd in between. We're looking at sort of pictures that we've been taking and saving here of leaderboards prior to this stage. And he's lost 22 seconds there. He said it was about 8-9 kilometres from the end. The next stage is 8 kilometres. The difference is he now knows that he only lost 20 seconds, not a minute, so he might leave it in stage mode on the next one. What he was saying is you cannot let the car get sideways because basically he's not strong enough against the power steering to get the opposite lock on.
To get the lock on, it'll spin.
Yeah, so he's got to drive it through straight, but I think maybe stage mode on, you know, so we had it wrong. It wasn't an overheating issue. It's difficult to tell.
And it was a couple of moments he looked very, very slow and pedestrian.
Yeah, he really did. He was figuring it out, wasn't he?
And that's, you know, this section here. Watch the tail of this car and you can see how much it does get sideways. This is Antonin Sultak from Czech Republic. And that is the problem, you know, when you're driving on the loose, the car moves around a lot, and if you can't catch it, you can't catch it. You can't throw it in like he is doing here into this final corner.
Initial timing screens, although this isn't confirmed, are saying the difference is now only 15 seconds between Sousa and Abring, and Sousa will go for it only tomorrow. He's been the only person who's been able to get near their times anyway.
Well, now, of course, the other thing is his team will tell him what the gap is. 15 seconds in 8 kilometres is 2 seconds a kilometre against a guy with no power steering. That's doable without being insane. He could take the lead before we go to bed tonight. Let's see how Antonin...
Antonin, how was the stage?
Byla to těžká RZA, nejdelší dneska, dala zabrat, projeli jsme ji zlepšení proti prvním průjezdu, samozřejmě by to mohlo být lepší, ale v závodě ještě dlouhý a je potřeba se udržet na trati.
Well, you don't need me to translate that for you, do you? If you do, tough luck. Those of you who are in the Czech Republic, I'm sure will understand that. He looked pretty happy with himself. The car's unmarked, so you can't argue for more after 28 tough Ks. Next up on the road, one of the local drivers, Portuguese, Pedro Meireles. Now, of course, this is a Portuguese enclave in the same way that the Canaries are part of Spain and the Falklands are part of Britain, although they're not part of the European Rally Championship. So, the fact he's Portuguese doesn't mean he's a Portuguese. He could be an Azorian. Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
It
It certainly is a thing. Yeah, one of our
from the
leading
Azores,
drivers.
I was just wondering what the collective
I forget
was.
it's either Mora or Sousa is from the Azores.
Is from the Azores, yeah. If I
Fabio
not
S2.
entirely sure that Mora's not.
Well, Mireles, Fabio S2000 for the last couple of years, but all Portuguese events.
Yeah, and you can see he's sponsored by the local Portuguese fuel company, Galp.
Prior to that, Group N cars and even Super 1600 cars. He's been at this for a long time.
Galp have been supporters of many, many young drivers in motorsport from Portugal, in single-seaters and all sorts of stuff. Now we hear that the stage has been stopped because of a crash. Again, it may not necessarily be a big crash. It doesn't take much to block these narrow lanes.
How was that stage?
Okay, well, he is on his way. Again,
not very good.
Don't need me to tell you what that told you. He's in a hurry to get on. Looking at our first Group N runner coming through. And this is the Adrizelio Lopez. And he's another driver who's been in IRC, ERC kind of, you know, fringes of perhaps making the big breakthrough into World Rally Championship for a number of years. The Subaru Impreza R4.
R4 category, of course, basically a Group N plus. Last couple of years, sort of various lightweight bits, a little bit more suspension travel, a little bit more strength than a Group N car. And they were actually designed to try and keep up with S2000 cars, but they were always too heavy, about 100 kilos too heavy. So whilst it made your Group N car much better, much stronger, you know, it made it a better prospect. I suppose in some ways cheaper to run because it could take more of a hammering. A Group N car would need a bit more maintenance than an R4 car, but they never got up to speed of S2000. We spoke about this earlier on, about kind of this limbo in the regulations. Where are we going to go with these cars between S2000 and, of course, R4 came along with regional rally cars. So,
as you can see, he's been doing his best to lighten it on the banks as he goes along. But, flappy rear bumper won't have done any damage. As he comes to the end of the stage, well, today has really shown that rallying has got an awful lot of twists and turns. They always say, even after the final stage, it's not done until you get into final service and your rally is completed. We have seen rallies lost before now, after the final special stage has been completed. And dramatically in the final special stage with a comfortable lead in the RAC rally and things like that. Nobody will ever forget Luis Moya throwing his helmet through the rear hatchback window of the Toyota Corolla that had abandoned him and Carlos Sainz literally within a few hundred meters of winning the RAC rally. And that's how tough this can be. Let's hear from Lopez.
How was the famous volcano stage?
No, I have a little problem rear right the car. I don't know what's happening, but it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know what's happening, but I can tell you, you hit something with it and dragged the bumper off. He could obviously feel the vibration and hear the noise, Andrew, but wasn't quite able to identify why it was making that racket, and yet the car seemed to be handling properly, because it clearly did seem to be handling properly. He's dinged the arch, but he doesn't seem to have done much to the suspension. Well, Vitaly Pushkar is the man who has stopped in the stage. We talked about that this morning, Andrew. It's like being on the Manx or in Ireland, that the stage is so narrow almost all the way through, and high banks. Basically, if you half spin it, then you've got nose in one bank, tail in the other. You can't three-point turn your way out of that. You block the stage, they have to hold it.
And we've had it once already today. Of course, Special Stage 4 was cancelled for exactly the same reason. So the two cars that retired in there, Mora and Katanovic, meant that it was the stage had to be stopped, and the same with this one.
Okay, so Sousa fastest through. Magales just 13 seconds slower than him. Griatzin still a threat for the podium. It was Breen, Abring, Sousa, Griatzin, Magales, you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is that's the log jam, basically. 21, 22, 25. These are cars, 23, 25. These are cars that have been stopped short in the stage because there is a car blocking it a little further up the road.
There's a lot of mess here in the middle of the road, Martin. Look at the banks,
Well,
and it looks as though a car's been wedged in there.
Yeah.
We can't see a car there. I wonder if the car was wedged, they've called the stage stoppage, and then somehow they've got the car out. There's a lot of spectators there, but you could see marks at 90 degrees to the road. So possibly the blockage cleared, but definitely the stage has been neutralised.
Definitely doesn't take much to block a stage this narrow, a road this narrow. If you're driving down in your own passenger car, you'd be thinking about maybe flicking the mirrors in.
Here he is, pulled off to the side of the road. If that is
I think that is Vitaly
it is an Evo 10. There they are.
There you go.
Thumbs up. Great to see that they're okay.
Happy.
That's a big relief.
And yeah, so they're all in one piece. In fact, the car doesn't look too bad. I would suggest that, yeah, he's nosed it in, but I think he backed it in first. Oh no, maybe he nosed it in first and
I think he's
got stuck.
He's wedged it, hasn't he? Yeah. And we said they've stopped it, and he's actually got the car out of the way, and bless him, he's done the gentlemanly thing and pulled it off the road, and probably doesn't realise that behind him they've all had to stop anyway.
No, but you know, there's nothing he can do about that. But again, you can see, look how, you know, impenetrable the road is there, you know, for a lot of this. So Sousa leads from Magalhães by 13. Griatsin in third place. Kevin Abring fourth. This is on the classification of this stage. Kevin Abring losing 23 seconds. Abring was, as we said, 44 minus 6, which is 38 in front. So overall, Kevin Abring is the rally leader from Sousa. There is an 7.9 kilometre stage still to go before service tonight. So by the time they have finished in another hour or so and got into service, you may well find that we have Sousa celebrating his 27th birthday with the lead of the Rallye Açores.
Whatever we find, we should at least be on for a decent fight tomorrow for 2 live stages. We really thought it was going to be Breen against Abring. Breen's gone. Abring's now got a problem, and he's fallen right back into the hands of Sousa. So looking forward to a fight tomorrow.
Could well be a 2-horse race, but with the rate of attrition we've had so far, I don't think Griatsin, Magalhães are going to be worrying too much about that, because they may end up battling for the lead as well. They only need, you know, 1 car to go, and they're not looking for third, they're looking for second. So anything could and might still happen. Don't forget, we've got 2 runs through the same stage, not this stage, but the same stage tomorrow. We have 2 live stages, same as today, midday and 6 p.m. And don't forget, again, you can catch up this evening with what happened in the junior ERC encounter. Of course, the man who got the Colin McRae flat-out trophy on the circuit was junior Chris Ingram. First time that has happened, so let's see what they make of the Azores, and you can keep up with all the action by following ERC either on Twitter at FIAERC or FIAERC.com on your interweb. So for the moment then, from Andrew Coley and from me, Martin Haven, until tomorrow, we'll see you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Wow.